Most people will spend their entire career being liked by everyone and respected by nobody. And the worst part? They'll never understand why. Jordan didn't understand why for 3 years. He was 27 years old, sharp, hard-working, and by every visible measure doing everything right. He showed up early. He stayed late. He remembered every colleague's birthday, covered every shift nobody wanted, and never once pushed back on anything a senior leader said. At every team lunch, he was the one who kept the energy up. At every after-work event, he was the last one to leave. He was without question the most liked person in his entire office. And when the annual promotion cycle came around for the 3rd consecutive year, they gave it to someone else. His manager called him in for the feedback conversation. She was kind about it, genuinely. She told him his attitude was exceptional, his team relationships were outstanding, and that everyone loved working with him. Then she said the one sentence that changed everything. The honest truth, Jordan, is that everyone loves working with you. But nobody thinks of you as a leader. He drove home in silence that evening, trying to figure out how those two things could both be true at the same time. He didn't have an answer. So that Friday he went to an industry networking event, found a quiet seat at the bar, and ordered a drink he didn't particularly want. That's where he met the man who would change the next decade of his life. Quietly dressed, mid-50s, nursing a single glass of water and watching the room with the calm, unhurried attention of someone who had absolutely nothing left to prove to anyone in it. He had built his first company at 27, sold it at 38, built a second from scratch, and sold that one at 45. He had never raised his voice in a board meeting. He had never needed to. But Jordan didn't know any of that yet. He just knew that something about the man's stillness felt different from everyone else in the room. They started talking. Jordan mentioned the feedback, just the headline, but something about the man's attention made him say more than he planned. By the time he stopped, he had told him everything. 3 years, 3 promotion cycles, the same result each time. The man listened without interrupting. Then he asked one question. Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be respected? Jordan almost smiled. Aren't they the same thing? The man shook his head slowly. They are the opposite of each other. Liked means people are comfortable around you. Respected means people take you seriously. For 3 years you have been perfecting one of them while wondering why the other never shows up. Jordan frowned. So everything I've been doing has been making you more liked and less respected? Yes. The man looked at him carefully. There are 5 reasons you keep getting passed over, and none of them are what you think they are. If you fix all 5, the next promotion cycle looks completely different, but I need you to actually listen. Not politely, actually. Jordan straightened. I'm listening. Stay with me, because what this man said next is something most people spend an entire career never hearing. The first one is the most important, the man said. The first person who has to respect you is you. And that starts the moment you stop making yourself small so that other people feel comfortable. When you spend your energy making everyone comfortable, you send one message, that your primary concern is their approval. People don't follow someone whose primary concern is their approval. They follow someone whose primary concern is the work, the standard, the result. Jordan pushed back. But I work hard. I show up for everyone. You show up for everyone else's priorities, the man said. When is the last time you said no to something because it conflicted with your own? Jordan couldn't answer. The second one, the man continued, is consistency. Can anyone in your office count on you the same way every single time? Not sometimes. Every time. Jordan thought about it. I think so. You think so, the man repeated. That's the problem. Respect isn't built on, I think so. It's built on a track record so consistent that nobody has to think about it at all. They just know. Inconsistent people get bypassed in organizations. Not fired, not confronted, just quietly worked around. And they're usually the last ones to understand why. Jordan thought about the follow-up email he had forgotten 2 weeks ago. The deadline he had quietly pushed by a day. Small things, invisible things. Apparently not. The third one, the man said, is boundaries. And this is the one most people avoid their entire lives. Jordan shifted. I'm not great with conflict. I know, the man said simply. The moment someone crosses a line and you say nothing, you have just taught them exactly how to treat you. Every time you stay silent to keep the peace, you are writing the terms of your own disrespect. Boundaries are not walls. They are instructions. And right now, yours are telling everyone around you that there are no consequences for treating you as optional. So what do? You decide what you will and won't accept. And the next time someone crosses that line, you say something. Not loudly, not emotionally, just clearly. One calm conversation delivers a message that 3 years of silence never could. And the people who leave because you finally held a line, those people were never assets, they were anchors. Jordan nodded slowly. He was processing faster than he could speak. 4, the man said. What is the one thing in your entire organization that you are undeniably the best at? Not good at. Undeniably the best. Jordan thought seriously. I'm good at a lot of things. That's not what I asked. Silence. That silence is costing you more than anything else on this list. The person who can point to specific measurable outcomes that happened because they were there never has to ask for respect. It becomes automatic. But general value is invisible value. Pick one problem, the most painful unsolved problem in your organization, and go so deep into it that your results become undeniable. Not good, undeniable. Most people never do it because they want to be great at 5 things simultaneously and end up being forgettable at all of them. And the 5th one, the man said, will determine whether everything else I've told you tonight actually works. He looked at Jordan directly. Whatever you decide to work on, tell nobody. Whatever line you decide to draw, don't announce it. Whatever you're building, let the result introduce itself. The moment you talk about what you're going to do, you have already spent credibility you haven't earned yet. The people who command the most respect say the least about themselves. They don't position, they don't hint, they just deliver, quietly, consistently, without announcement. And when the result lands, the room does the talking for them. He paused. Actions don't just speak louder than words, Jordan. They speak permanently. Jordan sat at that bar long after the man left. Long enough for the room to thin out and the bartender to wipe down the counter twice. 5 things. Respect yourself first. Keep your word every time. Draw the line when it needs to be drawn. Master one thing until it's undeniable. Let the work speak so loudly that your words become unnecessary. He drove home with all 5 running on repeat. Here's where most people would have felt inspired for a few days and then done nothing. Jordan was almost one of those people. Almost. Monday morning, Jordan went back to the office and started with the smallest change he could make. He stopped saying yes immediately, not dramatically. He just introduced a pause before agreeing to anything that wasn't directly connected to his own work. Within 2 weeks, something shifted. Requests that had previously come as assumptions now came with slightly more care. The pause had introduced the possibility of a no, and that possibility alone changed the dynamic. He started tracking his commitments the way other people track expenses. If he said Thursday, he delivered Thursday. No exceptions. Not because someone was watching, because he had decided his word was the first asset he needed to build. Within 6 weeks, people had stopped chasing him for updates. He had become someone nobody needed to check on, and in a professional environment that quiet reliability is worth more than any amount of enthusiasm or charm. Then came the moment that tested everything the man had told him about boundaries. 3 weeks in, Jordan brought an idea to a team meeting, a process improvement he had spent 3 evenings developing. His director acknowledged it briefly. The meeting moved on. 2 days later, a senior colleague named David presented the same idea in a leadership meeting as his own. Jordan sat at his desk for a long time after hearing about it. The old Jordan would have let it go, would have smiled at David the next morning like nothing happened. He remembered what the man had said. Every time you stay silent to keep the peace, you are writing the terms of your own disrespect. He walked into David's office and closed the door. The conversation was uncomfortable. Unresolved in the way first boundary conversations usually are. But a line was drawn that hadn't existed that morning. He walked out with his hands slightly unsteady, but he walked out standing. That afternoon, his director stopped by his desk. "Heard you had a conversation with David." Jordan met her eyes. "I did." She held his gaze for a moment, not with concern, but with something Jordan recognized but had never had directed at him before. "Good," she said, and walked away. "Stay with me." Because what Jordan did next is the part that separates the people who get promoted from the people who stay stuck forever. Jordan chose his focus the following week and told nobody. Client retention. Contracts were expiring at the 6-month mark at a rate nobody had fully explained. He went deeper than anyone before him, pulling every lost account, reading every exit survey, mapping every pattern until he found something 2 previous analysts had missed entirely. It wasn't a pricing problem. It was a communication problem. Clients were leaving because nobody had clearly shown them what they were getting for their money after month 2. The value was real. It was just invisible. He built a framework, a structured check-in process that made the value visible at exactly the moment clients were most likely to start questioning whether to renew. First account, renewed. Second account, renewed. Then the third didn't respond the way the first 2 had. He sat at his desk at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, staring at numbers that weren't cooperating. He almost emailed his director, just to make sure someone knew the effort was happening. He didn't send it. Let the result announce itself. He found the gap, a timing issue in the sequence, fixed it, applied it. The third account renewed, then a fourth, then a fifth. He walked into his director's office on a Thursday morning without an appointment, set a printed report on the desk, and stood quietly while she read. She looked up slowly. "Where did this come from?" "I've been working on it," Jordan said simply. She looked at the report, then back at Jordan. The look from the hallway after David, but longer now. Permanent. "I want you to present this to the full leadership team next Thursday." Jordan told nobody about the presentation beforehand. He just showed up with the data and let it speak. 6 weeks later, he got the promotion, not because he became more likable, because he finally stopped trying to be. He was at the same networking event 4 months later when he saw the man in the same corner seat as if no time had passed. Jordan sat down across from him. "You look different," the man said. Jordan told him everything. The pause before yes, the David conversation, the 3 months of silence, the framework, the promotion. The man listened without interrupting, then asked one question. "Which one was the hardest?" Jordan didn't hesitate. The silence, not telling anyone what I was building. Every instinct I had told me to hint at it, to make sure someone knew the effort was happening. "But you didn't." "No," the man nodded. "Here's what I want you to understand about all 5 of them together. They're not 5 separate things. They're one thing expressed 5 different ways. They all come from the same root." Jordan waited. The decision to respect yourself first. When you respect yourself first, you stop needing the room's approval before you act. You keep your word because your integrity matters to you, not because someone is watching. You draw lines because you know what you're worth. You master one thing because you're building something real. And you let the work speak because you trust it. He looked at Jordan directly. Respect isn't something people give you when they feel like it. It's something they can no longer withhold once you've done the work to deserve it. But all of it, every single piece, starts with one decision. The decision to stop being available for your own diminishment. He stood up. "Everything else," he said, "follows from that." Jordan drove home that night thinking about the version of himself that had walked into that bar a few months ago. Exhausted, confused, genuinely unable to understand how being the most helpful person in the building had made him the most invisible. 5 decisions, no announcements, no shortcuts. That was the entire distance between being liked and being respected. If you're not following Tycoon logic, you're probably the most liked person in your office right now, and the most overlooked. Working hard, showing up every day, helping everyone around you, and watching less committed people move past you because they understood something about this game that nobody taught you. But if you are following Tycoon logic, you already know that respect was never something you ask for. It's never something you campaign for, or perform for, or wait for someone generous enough to hand you. It's something you build, quietly, consistently, and without announcement, until the room has no choice but to acknowledge it. Subscribe to Tycoon logic, because the most important shift you will ever make isn't a promotion or a title or a salary negotiation. It's the decision to stop being liked and start being respected. And it starts the moment you decide that your own opinion of yourself matters more than the room's. We'll see you in the next one.